Hi there, in this video I will show you how to build this full-fledged working calculator from scratch using basic HTML, CSS and JavaScript. If you are new to web development, don't worry, I will guide you step by step. So let's install a code editor first. If you already have your favorite code editor installed in your PC, then you can go ahead and skip this part. Otherwise, if you don't, then head over to this website and download one. VS Code editor is a very good editor I can suggest. I'll leave the link to the download in the description below. So once you are on the website, click on this drop down and choose your operating system. I use Windows PC, so I'm going to click on this to download the Windows version. Make sure you click on this that says stable so that you get the stable build version of the software. Once that's downloaded, install it and then launch it. You'll get a welcome screen like this. Then go ahead and click on this icon here that says extensions. Let's download an extension that we can use to preview our app on our browser. Navigate over here and search for live server. This is how it looks like, the one with the name Arithmetic. Click on it and then install it. Once that's done, then go on your desktop and create an empty folder where you would store all your app files. I will name it calculator because that's what we are building. Then now drag the folder into your VS Code like so, and then in here right click and create a new file. Name it index.html. This is where all our HTML code will stay. So if you've successfully installed that live server, down here on your VS Code you'll see where it says go live. Click on it and then your default browser will open. Leave it open as that's where you'll see the preview of your app as you code. However, you might have to always hit Ctrl S or go to File and click on Save before you see the changes in your browser. I like to set mine as auto save so I don't have to always do that. If you want to set that too, then go to File, Preferences, then Settings. Here, search for auto save. Select after delay in the drop down here, and then here 1000 milliseconds. So it will automatically save your file after every 1 second. Now let's go into our index.html file and get started. Let's create our HTML structure first. I'm going to use a shortcut here, so I'll type exclamation mark like so with no space. Then I will hit the tab key on my keyboard, and then you get a basic structure of HTML like this. I don't know if that works for you. If it doesn't, then you might have to type this line by line. So let's change our title here to calculator, and then in here in the body tag, let's build the basic structure of our calculator. Let's create a div here and give a class name of main container. So this will be the main container of the whole app. Let's create another div in here and give a class name of calc container. This will be the container wrapping the calculator app itself. Inside this container, let's create our display screen. So here will be div with an ID of display screen. So that's our display screen. And then now let's create our bunch of buttons or keypad. So I'll create a div here and give an ID of buttons container. So this will be the container wrapping the whole buttons. Inside the container, let's create our bunch of buttons. Let's start with the clear button. This will clear the screen when you click on it. So it will be div with a class name of btn-operator. And then here on click, which means when you click on this button, what should happen? In our case, it will call this function name clear input. So we'll write this function in JavaScript when we get there. Then the button will have this label, the letter C like that, which means clear. Next is the erase button. This will erase the numbers in the screen one by one as you click on it. So it will have the same class names as the button above, but different functionality. So when you click on this button, it will call this erase function name. The button will have a label of a right facing arrow. So if you type this and %RARR semicolon, you'll get this arrow sign. Let's check our browser and see how it looks like. And there it is. So next is the division button. Same class names but different function name. The function name here would be insert number and then inside this bracket, you'll type a / in between this single quotation sign. So like that's a string of / so to say, and then the button will have a label of / like that, which is a division sign. So the next button is the multiplication button, which is similar to the division button except for the label sign. Next button will have a class name of btn-num, and then on click we'll call this insert number function. So we will hard code 7 here, and the rest of the numbers will also be hard coded into their function names as arguments. So by default, when a user click on any of the number buttons, it will only insert the number passed as argument on that function. So since it's a calculator, after all, we want a precise value to be passed onto it. So by hard coding the numbers, we are kind of restricting users from typing something else, like maybe some random letters, maybe like ABC, or random characters. Yeah, so the next button is similar, so I'll copy and paste, but it will be number 8 here and then 8 here. The next one is also similar, so it will be 9 here, 9 here. And the next button is the subtraction button. We will change the class name here to btn-operator because it's an operator button. And then here we'll put the minus sign and then minus sign. Next button is the number 4 button. So it will have a class name of btn-num, and here 4. So if you're copying and pasting like me, please be careful and make sure you get the correct class names and on-click function names for each button, because if you get anything wrong, your calculator will malfunction or won't even work at all. So the next button is number 5. So same class names as 4, but here will be 5 and then 5 here. Next is 6. So 6 here and then 6 here. Then the next button is the addition button. So the class name here will change to btn-operator because it's an operator button. So here will be the plus sign and then plus sign here too as the label. Next button is number 1. So class name will be btn-num, and 1 here and 1 here as the button label. If you notice, the numbers I'm passing in as arguments to the function have no quotation marks around them. Only the operator signs do have quotation marks around them because we want them as strings. So the next button is number 2. So it will be 2 here, 2 here. Next 3. So 3 here, 3 here. And then the next button is our equality operator. So the class name will be btn-operator, and then a third class name, which is equal, like that. The on-click function name will be equal to, like so. Nothing in the bracket, and then here we'll put an equality sign like that as the button label. So remain 2 buttons in case you're getting bored. The next one is 0. 0 is a number, so it will have the same class name as the rest of the numbers. Then 0 here, 0 here. The last button is the dot button. It will have a class name of btn-num, and a third class name, which is dot, like that. And then in the insert number function name, we will pass in a dot like that in a single quotation mark, and here just dot like that as the label sign. So we've made it. This is the basic structure of our calculator. If you click save, or if you're doing the auto save, if you just check your browser, you will see all the numbers and symbols we've just coded. Next is for us to style our calculator so that it looks like one, and that's where CSS comes into play. So now let's get started with CSS. So under your index.html file, right click and create a new file. Let's name it style.css. Then up here just above our title tag, let's link our style.css file, and here is how to do it. Link rel This rel stands for relationship. So the rel attribute specifies the relationship between the current document, which is this index.html file, and then the other document we want to link. And that relationship is a style sheet, which defines the visual style of the web page. And then here, href, so this is used to specify the URL or the path of the external style sheet file name, and the path name is style.css. So now we've linked the two pages together. Let's go into the style.css file and start styling our app. First of all, let's grab all the elements in the index.html file with this asterisk character. Let's grab the HTML tag as well and the body tag. Inside these curly braces, let's give them some default style. So box sizing, border box, font family, Noto sans or sans serif, margin 0, padding 0, and then let's grab our body tag and give it a margin top of 10%. Now let's grab the main container of the app. So these names I'm grabbing are the class names we define in our index.html file, if you remember. So any of those classes you want to style, you just need to grab the class name. So let's give this a display of flex, justify content center, align items center, margin 0, padding 0, and then a width of 100%. Now let's grab our calc container. So this is the container wrapping the calculator itself. So let's give the calculator a height of 550 pixel and then a padding of 8 pixel, display grid, and then let's give it a border of 5 pixel solid and then a black color like so. Border radius, let's give it 20 pixel and then a background color of white or whitish, that. And let's give the calculator a shadow, so box shadow, and let's give it this color. You know what, let's open our browser and adjust the size so that I can see the preview of what I'm doing in real time. Yeah, that's better. Now let's grab our display screen. So our display screen only has an ID, no class name. So to grab an ID name, you just need to put a hashtag like so, and then the ID name, display screen. And then let's give it a width of 100% and a height of 2M, display flex, justify content, flex end, align items, center, color, FD, FE, FE, padding right, 10 pixel, font size 3M, text align right, and let's give it a border of 1 pixel solid and then a white color like that. And then let's give the display screen a background of black and then transition all 0.3 seconds ease in. Now let's style our buttons. Let's grab the button container. So the button container has an ID of buttons container. Let's check and see. Yeah, that's right. So let's give it a display of grid dash template dash columns, repeat 4, then auto, text align center. Let's give it a color of black. And then now let's grab all the keypad or all the buttons that have a class name of btn. If you notice on all the buttons, most of them have a class name of btn. So any button with a class name of btn will have this style. So give it a display of flex, font size 1.2M, and then cursor pointer, justify content center, align items center, padding 20 pixel up and down, and then 30 pixel left and right, transition all, then 0.3 seconds ease in. Then let's give it a border of 0.3 pixel solid and then this RGBA color. And then let's grab our keypad with the class name of dot and then give it a grid colon span 2. And then let's grab our equality keypad, so dot equal and then grid raw span 2. And then let's grab our buttons, all the buttons with the class name of btn-num. So I think that's all our number buttons. And let's give them a background color of this azure, and then font size 20 pixel, font weight bold, and then when you hover on them, let's change the background color to this 128094, and then the label color will be white. That's the text color on it. And then let's grab our operator buttons. So all the buttons that are operators plus the sign, the multiplication button, and the rest of them, let's give them a background color of this 128094, and then the labels on them, that's the text on them, white, and then font size 25 pixel. Let's give our equality sign button a background color of blue, and then a font size of 25 pixel. And then all the operator buttons, when you hover on them, let's change the background color to this color here called aqua. I think it's a very nice color. And then we change the text color or the label color to black. So let's explore our app. Now it's looking like a real calculator. This is really cool. Obviously nothing is going to function for now because we haven't done any JavaScript yet. So to give this life, let's dive into JavaScript and make it function. So under this style.css file, let's right click and create our JavaScript file. Let's name it app.js. And now we need to connect this file with our index.html file using the script tag. So go to your index.html file, and down here just above the closing tag of your body tag, we will say script src, which means source, then equals app.js, just as we named it, and then we close our script tag like so. Now first of all, we want the initial value of our display screen to be 0 by default. Like most calculators, you see 0 on the screen when you first turn them on, right? So let's grab our display screen from our index.html file using JavaScript. Here in our JavaScript file, we'll say const. This means constant is one of the JavaScript keywords. And then let's create a variable and call it display screen, because that's the name of the element we want to grab. And then we'll say equals document.getElementById, because the element we want to get has an ID, and that ID name is display screen. We'll put that in between this single quotation mark, exactly how we wrote it in our HTML file. Let's confirm and see. Yeah, exactly like that in camel case. So now we've grabbed our display screen and stored it in this variable here. This variable name can be anything, but I just use the name display screen so that the name corresponds to the element we want to grab and manipulate. You might be wondering what a variable is. A variable is just like a container where you can store values, just as we are now storing our display screen element in this variable here, so that we can use it anywhere in our code when we need to. Now, we've grabbed our display screen. We need to assign 0 to it as a default value, right? So we'll say let default value, this is another variable name, equals display screen dot text content equals 0, like that in single quotation mark. This let is another JavaScript keyword. We often use it when we are about to declare a variable, just as we've declared a variable here and call it default value. And here we are saying let the text content of our display screen be 0. So this declaration here is being stored here as a default value. So anywhere in our code you see this default value variable, it just means 0, because that's what we've just stored inside. And here in our app, you can see our calculator now has a default value of 0 on its screen. In general, we want this calculator to have at least 4 functionalities. The first functionality is the ability to insert numbers to the display screen when we click on the keypads. And remember, in our index.html file, we've already defined an onClick attribute for each keypad and gave it a function name as the value. And all our numbers keypad have this insert number function as values on the attribute. So now let's code out the insert number functionality. We'll say function. This is another JavaScript keyword. which is often used when you're about to declare a function. And this function has a name, which is insert number, exactly how we wrote it in our index.html file, like so. This function will always be expecting to receive something as an argument. So we will put a parameter here. Let's call it number. It could be any name, but number makes more sense because that's the type of argument we'll be passing on to the function. And then we need our display screen within this function. So I'll just grab it from here and paste it here. Now we need to check for the content in our display screen. We know the default value is always 0 from start, but when a user clicks on a number from the keypad, we want the 0 to be replaced with that number that is being clicked on. So we will say if display screen dot text content equals default value, then replace that content with number. That's this parameter here, whatever value is being passed on to it. And then else display screen dot text content plus equals number. So if the content of the display screen is not a default value, it will just append whichever number is being clicked on to the current number. Now let's check our function and see if it works. Our display screen has a default value of 0 as usual. If I click on 2 now, that 0 should be replaced with 2. And now we no longer have a default value on the screen. So any other number I click on will just append behind the current number, like that, like that. So we are now able to insert numbers to the display screen. But how do we erase these numbers? Let's create a function for the erase button. So if we check for the erase button in our index.html file, here it is. Let's grab this function name, and then back in our app.js file, let's write the function for it. So we'll say function and then the function name. Then here we need our display screen too within this function. And then we would say display screen dot text content equals display screen dot text content dot substring. This substring is a method that operates on strings and is used to extract a portion of a string and return it as a new string. The method takes two arguments. The first one is the starting index, which includes the value at that index, and the second argument is the ending index, which excludes the value at that index of the substring to be extracted. And we know in programming we start counting from 0, and obviously we want to start erasing the numbers from the very first one. So we'll put 0 here as our starting index, and then the second argument will be whatever the length of the text content is minus 1 from it as the button is being clicked. And by the time there is nothing left on the display screen, that means our string is now empty. So we'll check and see if display screen dot text content equals empty string. You'll just type a double quotation or single quotation mark like that with empty space in between them that represent an empty string. So if this is true, then we'll set our display screen back to default value like that. Now let's check our erase number function and see. Let's insert some numbers and then let's erase them. There you go. We are getting rid of the numbers one by one. So our button is working fine. And after the last number, the screen will return to the default value, which is 0. So let's code our clear button so that we can clear the whole screen at once rather than removing the numbers one by one. Let's define the function for that. If you check the clear button in our index file, you'll see that the function name is clear input. And then we will need our display screen as well. And all this function is going to do is when you click on the clear button, it will just set the content of the display screen back to default value. Simple, isn't it? So let's check. Let's insert some numbers and then clear them. Numbers, clear them. Yep, that's looking good. So now we've added 3 functionalities to our calculator. We are able to insert numbers, erase numbers from the screen, and then clear the whole screen at once. So let's go ahead and code out the main functionality of your calculator, which is the ability to perform mathematical calculation or evaluate numbers using it. So if, for instance, we say 23 times 4, we will need to click on this equality sign to evaluate these numbers, and that's not functional at the moment. So let's check our equality button and see what function name we gave to the onClick attribute. We gave it this name equal to. Let's go ahead and write the function equal to, and then here we need our display screen again within this function. So we'll write a simple conditional statement here. We'll check if there is text content on the display screen. So display screen dot text content. Then let's grab that display screen content and evaluate it. This eval method is a built-in function that evaluates a string of JavaScript code as if it were part of the current program. It takes a string argument which contains the JavaScript code that needs to be executed and returns the result of the execution. So we'll pass this display screen content as an argument to be executed to this function, like so. However, using this eval method can be risky as it can execute any arbitrary code passed to it, including potentially malicious code. We are only using it here because we've already hard-coded exactly what will be passed onto our app, which is numbers and operation signs to perform mathematical operations. We've kind of restricted users from typing anything random to the app apart from numbers and math operators. So let's continue with our conditions here. If there is nothing to evaluate, this function will return false. So our calculator should be fully functional by now. Let's test it. Yep. Feel free to play with this app, add more functionalities to it if you think there's anything else that needs to be added. And I've just thought of a potential bug in this app. Let's see. If you keep inserting numbers, there is no maximum width for the display screen or maximum length of numbers that can be typed. See, as we keep typing, the width of the display screen is expanding. This doesn't make sense. So let's give the text content a maximum length to stop the display screen from expanding if a user decides to type a lengthy number. It's quite easy. So in this function where we are inserting the numbers, let's define a variable and call it max length and set it to 11 characters or digits. And then here we will add a condition. If display screen dot text content dot length is less than max length, which is 11, then we'll cut all this here and paste it inside this condition. So only when this condition is true, this can be executed, which means you can only be able to insert numbers into the display screen as long as the length of the text on the display screen is less than 11. Now let's test it again, and there you go. So you've just built a full-fledged working calculator. If you need the source code for the whole app, please let me know in the comments below, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button if you like the content. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.